Good evening, guys. I hope all are getting my screen and voice. So today I'm going to discuss shell scripting. Shell scripting. So already we have discussed Linux. We have completed Linux and all Linux commands. So now we are going to talk about shell scripting. So first try to understand what is shell and what is scripting. What is the shell, guys? Shell is an interface, guys. It is an interface. Shell is an interface. Shell is an interface and it is responsible for reading the commands which are given by user, right? Which are given by user. So what is shell, guys? Shell is an interface and it is responsible for reading the commands which are given by user, which are given by user. See, guys, here I have connected with my Linux machine. Here I am going to give some commands. ls-l. Here it is going to give the files which are available. It is going to give the files which are available. Okay, so let me connect with the Linux machine, guys. Sorry, here I didn't connect it with the Linux machine. First let me connect with the Linux machine. Copy. So I have connected to the Linux machine. Here let me give some commands. Right, who am I am giving pwd. Right, here ls-l. Right, here date command I'm giving, cal command I'm giving. See, guys, here I'm giving all the commands. As a user I'm giving all the commands at here. So here, what is the responsibility of the shell? Shell is nothing but an interface. Whatever the commands we are typing at here, these commands first, shell will take all these commands, guys. Who will read all these commands? Right, shell will read all these commands. Whatever the commands we are typing here, shell will read all these commands. Right, now guys, observe this one. What is shell? Shell is an interface and it is responsible for reading the commands which are given by user. As a user, I am giving some commands at here. Who am I? pwd, ls-l, date, cal, all these are the commands. As a user, I am giving all these commands. Here, where we are typing, this is the interface. This is the interface, guys. This is the shell. Shell will take all these commands. Shell will read all these commands whatever we are giving. Read the statement, guys. What is the shell? Shell is an interface and it is responsible for reading the commands which are given by the user. Understood, guys? Right, whatever the commands we are typing at here, all these commands are processed by the shell only. Right, shell will take these commands and it will verify whether the syntax are correct or not. Shell will read the commands. Shell will read all the commands and it will verify the syntax. It will verify the syntax of the commands. Syntax of the commands. Shell will read all the commands and it will verify the syntax of the commands. Whether syntax is correct or not, it will check. Right. If the syntax is correct, then what it will do? Right. What it will do if the syntax is correct? See guys, here ls I am giving, this is valid. Here SL I am giving, see guys, this is invalid. Command not found. Who is providing this message? Shell is providing this message. Here whatever the command you are giving, that command first shell will take and it will verify whether the syntax is correct or not. If the syntax is not correct, shell will give this error message. See guys, command not found. Who is giving this command not found error message? Shell will giving this error message. Shell only providing this error message. Shell will process this command. Shell will verify this command. If it is not valid, then shell only will provide this error message. Understood guys? Right. If this command is correct, then what shell will do? If the command syntax is correct, if command syntax is correct, then shell will, what shell will do guys? If command is correct, command syntax is correct, so then what shell will do? Shell will process, shell will give that command to kernel. Here we have one more terminology we need to understand, kernel. Right. If first shell will take the command and it will verify whether that command syntax is correct or not. If it is not correct, shell only will return the error message. If it is correct, then shell will give that command to kernel. If command syntax is correct, then shell will give that command. Shell will give that command to kernel. Right. Shell will give instructions to kernel guys. Shell will give this one to kernel to process that command. Understood guys? See, observe carefully. Here we are giving the commands. Right, who will take these commands? Shell will take these commands. What shell will do? Shell will verify the command syntax. If command syntax is valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process this command. If command syntax is not valid, then shell only will return the error message like this. Understood guys? Understood? Who is processing this command? Kernel. Kernel will process this command. Who will give the right instruction to kernel to process the command? Shell will give the instructions to kernel to process the command. When shell will give the instructions to kernel, if command syntax is valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process the command. If syntax is not correct, shell only will give the error message. What is the kernel guys? Kernel will execute our command with the system hardware components. If you want to run any command, if you want to execute any program, some hardware components are required. See, some RAM is required. RAM is one of the hardware component, right? Some CPU is required. CPU is the hardware component. To execute any command, compulsory we require some hardware components. Kernel will execute our command with the system hardware components. Kernel will take care of that. As a user, you can't able to take the hardware components directly. As a user, you can't able to talk with the kernel directly. Whatever the commands you are giving, those commands, first shell will take those commands. Shell will take those commands. Understood guys? Who will take those commands? Shell will take those commands. Right? So next, shell will take those commands and shell will give those commands to kernel. What kernel will do? Kernel will process those commands by using hardware components. Right? Understood guys? Right. Kernel will process the commands. kernel will process the commands by using system hardware components. Kernel will process the commands by using system hardware components. System hardware components. Try to understand, guys. Once again, here we are, as a user, we are giving the commands. Whatever the commands we are giving at here, these commands, who will take these commands? Shell will take these commands, and shell will validate whether this command syntax is valid or not. If command syntaxes are valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process these commands. If command syntaxes are not valid, then what shell will do? It will return the error message. Whenever shell given the instructions to kernel, kernel will process the command by using some hardware components. Understood, guys? See, shell is an interface and it is responsible for reading the commands which are given by user. Shell will read all the commands and it will verify the syntaxes of the commands. If command syntax is correct, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process that command. Kernel will process that commands by using system hardware components. Understood, guys? Read the statements. If command syntax is invalid, then shell only will return the error message. Shell only will return the error message. Read the statements, guys. Read all these statements once. Read all these statements once. What is the shell? What is the kernel? What is the shell will do? What shell will do? What kernel will do? Please try to understand. Observe carefully, guys. Here, observe carefully what is happening. Right. So, Linux architecture. How Linux architecture will work? Try to understand, guys, how Linux architecture is going to work. Try to understand this one. Try to understand how Linux architecture will work. See, guys, here user is available. Right, what user will do? User will give the commands. Who will take these commands? Shell will take those commands. Shell will take the commands. Here user is giving the commands, shell will take those commands and shell will validate those command syntaxes. If command is invalid, shell only will return the error message. Shell only will return the error message. If syntax is valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel. Here we have kernel. If syntaxes are correct, shell will give the instructions to kernel. What kernel will do? Kernel will process that commands by using some hardware components. By using some hardware components, kernel will process those commands. Understood, guys? See, here user, as a user, we are typing the Linux commands on the right interface. Whatever the interface is there we are providing the commands. What is that interface? Shell is that interface. Shell will take those commands and shell will validate. User is giving the commands to shell. Shell will validate those commands. If those commands are not valid, then shell will return the error message. If those commands are valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process that command. Shell will give the instructions to kernel to process that commands. Right, what kernel will do? Kernel will process those commands by using these hardware components. Is it clear, guys? Have a look into this diagram. And here user can't able to talk to this kernel directly. User can't able to talk with this hardware components directly. Right? User can talk to this shell. Shell will talk to kernel. Kernel will talk to these hardware components. Clear, guys? That here we can say shell is going to work as mediator between user and kernel. Shell is going to work as a mediator between user and right, user and kernel. Right, kernel is going to work as a mediator between shell and hardware components. Kernel is going to work as a mediator between shell and hardware components. Right, guys? So this is about shell, guys. This is about shell. So now tell me, what is scripting? Guys, tell me, what is scripting? What is the scripting? See, guys, observe carefully. So now here what I am going to do, observe carefully, guys. So daily morning, once you reach to the office, right, every day morning, first once you open your system, you need to check some commands, guys. That is your routine work. Assume, guys, just assume, right, every day morning 10 o'clock I will reach to the office. Once I reach to the office, daily routine work is there, guys. What routine work is there? I want to run some commands regularly. Same commands I want to run. Daily morning, once I open the system, I want to run some common commands regularly, routine commands regularly, like this. Who am I? Right, date, cal, right here, ls-l, etc. Some commands I want to execute regularly, daily morning once I reach to the office. Right, see here, manually I am typing all these commands. Manually I am executing all these commands. Instead of executing all these commands manually like this, whatever the commands you want to execute daily, those commands I will put inside one file. And I will execute that file directly. See, guys, I don't know, here just I am giving 4 commands. Maybe 100 commands daily morning at 10 o'clock I want to execute. All those 100 commands are common. Regularly I want to execute same 100 commands. Daily I want to execute same 100 commands. So in that case, instead of executing those commands one by one like this, what I am going to do, I am going to put all those commands, all those 100 commands into a file, and I will run that file directly. Instead of doing this, I will run that single file directly. I can save lot of time, guys. And sometimes you may forget these commands also, right? Every time if you want to run means, sometimes you may forget these commands also, command syntaxes also, right? So because of that, if you put all these commands inside a file, right, you never do any mistakes in that commands, and you can complete that process very quickly, guys. Understood, guys? Right, every day morning at 10 o'clock you need to run 100 commands. right? That is the routine work. Daily you need to run same 100 commands. Instead of executing those 100 commands one by one manually, I'm going to keep all 100 files inside one file and I will run that file. If you do like that, what is the advantage, right? There is no, you can't able to do any mistakes in the command syntaxes. You don't need to do, you won't do any command syntax mistakes, and you can complete that. You can run with single shot only. You can run all 100 commands in single shot. Understood, guys? See guys, now here what we are trying to understand, what is scripting. Scripting means what? Scripting means what? Commands, right? The set of commands mentioned in a file for execution. Set of commands mentioned set of commands mentioned in a file. Set of commands mentioned in a file for execution is called as scripting. Is called as scripting, guys. If you put set of commands for execution inside a file, if you mention set of commands inside a file, right, for execution, then we will call it as scripting. Scripting, guys. Here by using scripting, what we are doing, whatever the activity you are doing regularly, we are going to automate that process. Regularly, you no need to run these commands. You no need to run these commands regularly. Whatever the regular work is there, that regular work we are going to automate by using this scripting. We are going to automate by using this scripting, guys. Right? By using scripting, what we are doing, we are going to automate our regular work. By using scripting, we are automating our regular work, routine work, regular work, whatever we have, we are automating that regular work by using scripting. Understood, guys? Regularly, whatever the 100 commands you want to execute, all those 100 commands I'm going to put inside one file for execution. So that is called file. That file is called as scripting file. That file is called as script file. By using that scripting, we are automating our regular work. Understood, guys? For example, I want to execute some commands. I want to execute some commands regularly as a Linux admin, as a Linux user. Right? See, guys, what commands I want to execute. Who am I? Right here, date command I want to run. Right now here, cal command I want to run. Here, next ls-l command I want to run, etc. Right? So I will keep all above commands. I will put all above commands in a file, and I will execute that file. Directly. See, guys, for example, I want to execute below commands. I want to execute below commands regularly as a Linux user. What I'm going to do, I'm going to automate this process. For that, I'm going to put all these commands inside a file and I will execute that file directly. This is called as what? Scripting, guys. Understood, guys? So now clear what is shell, what is scripting. Read the statements. So what is scripting, guys? The file which contains a set of commands is called as, the file which contains set of commands for execution is called as scripting. Shell scripting means executing set of commands, by using a file, is called as shell scripting. What is shell scripting, guys? Executing set of commands by using a file is called as shell scripting. Shell scripting means what? Executing set of commands by using a file is called as shell scripting. Clear, guys? Clear? Is this clear? What is shell scripting? Executing set of commands by using a file is called as shell scripting. See, guys, observe carefully. Right, once again I'm going to show here all the commands we are executing manually. Here all the commands we are going to execute manually one by one. Who am I? Date, cal, right, ls-l, executing all these commands one by one manually. Instead of executing one by one manually, I'm going to put all these commands inside one file and I will execute that file directly. The file which contains a set of commands for execution is called as shell scripting. The file which contains set of commands for execution is called as shell scripting. Script file. Understood, guys? Is it clear, guys? What is shell scripting? Please try to understand this, guys. What is shell scripting? What is shell? What is scripting? Executing set of commands using file is called as shell scripting. Right, guys. So now, when we execute script file, shell will read all the commands and verify the syntaxes of those commands. Right, if syntaxes are valid, right, if syntaxes are valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process those commands by using some hardware components. Read this one, guys. Here shell is going to act as a mediator between, right, user and kernel. Kernel is going to work as a mediator between, right, shell and hardware components. So you guys are clear what is shell, what is scripting, what is shell scripting, what is the shell, what is kernel, what is shell, what is kernel, right? So when you give the Linux commands, right, internally how those commands are executing, everything is clear. Right, here we are giving some Linux commands. How these commands are processing? First, shell will take all these commands. Shell will verify the syntaxes. If syntaxes are not correct, shell will return the error message. If syntaxes are valid, then shell will give these commands to kernel. Kernel will communicate with the hardware components to process these commands. Shell is not going to communicate with hardware components directly. User is not going to communicate with kernel directly. User is not going to communicate with hardware components directly. User will communicate with the shell. Shell will communicate with kernel. Kernel will communicate with the hardware components to process these commands. Understood, guys? So now we need to understand how to write the scripting. Right? See, guys, so tell me here, who is validating our commands, guys? Shell is validating our commands. How many types of shells are available? How many types of shells are available in Linux? Right? How many types of shells are available in Linux operating system? How many types of shells are available in Linux operating system? Let's see here. There are several shells are available in Linux. Right? We have several shells are available in Linux operating system. To process our Linux commands. Right? What shells are available? One is Bourne shell. One is Bourne shell, Bourne, Bourne shell. Second one is bash shell. Bash shell is available. Next, corn shell is available. Next here, C shell is available. Right? Z shell is available. Right? T shell is available, etc. Like this, we have several shells are available in Linux operating system to process our request. Several shells are available in our Linux operating systems. Right here, which one is the default shell, guys? Here, what is the default shell? Right, what is shell, guys? Shell is the mediator between user and kernel. Shell will read our commands. Here, Bourne shell, bash shell, corn shell, these shells are available, right? Here, these shells only will read our commands, and these shells will verify the command syntaxes. Right? If those syntaxes are valid, then shell will give the instructions to kernel to process these commands by using some hardware components. Right, guys? Right, what types of shells are available in Linux operating system? Bourne shell, bash shell, corn shell, C shell, Z shell, T shell. Like this, several shells are available. Right, now in Linux, here, how you can able to see, right, how you can able to check what shells are available? This is the command cat, right? Go to etc folder. Inside etc, shells are available. cat/etc/shells. See, guys, these are the shells are available. Bash shell, et shell, right? C shell, right? Like this, several shells are available like this. How you can able to check what shells are available in Linux operating system? By using this command. By using below command, we can see what shells are available in Linux operating system. Right, what command, guys? This is the command. Right, cat slash etc slash shells. By using this command, we can check what shells are available in Linux operating system. See, here it is going to print. It is printing all the shells which are available in Linux operating system. Understood, guys? That here, what is the default shell of our Linux machine, guys? Here we have several shells are available. What is the default shell, guys? What is the default shell in our Linux operating system? Right, if you want to see the default shell, run this command: echo dollar shell. What this command will do? This command will display the default shell in Linux operating system. See, guys, bash shell is the default shell in Linux operating system. See, among all these shells, bash shell is the default shell. Right, most commonly used shell in Linux operating system is bash shell. Guys. Right, to display, right, by using below command, we can display the default shell in Linux operating system. Right, what is the command we need to give? Dollar echo. See, guys, here this is the command we need to use. Echo shell, echo dollar shell, echo space dollar shell, echo dollar shell. What it will print? It will print like this. So this is the default shell which we have. Right, the most commonly used shell in Linux is the most commonly used shell in Linux operating system is bash shell. What is the most commonly used shell, guys? Bash shell. Bash shell is the most commonly used shell in Linux operating system. Understood, guys? See, guys, how many types of shells are available in Linux operating system? So these are the different types of shells are available in Linux operating system. How you can able to display the shells which are available in Linux operating system? By using this command we can display. How you can able to display the default shell which we use in Linux operating system? By using this command we can display default shell. Understood, guys? So with this, you guys are clear what is the shell, what is the responsibility of the shell, what is kernel, what is the responsibility of the kernel, what is scripting, what is shell scripting, how many types of shells are available in Linux, what is the default shell. All these things are clear. Guys. Is that clear up to here? Right, so we have several shells are available. Among all these shells, which one is the most commonly used shell in Linux operating system? Bash shell. So now let me create one shell script file. Let me create one shell script file. See, guys, here what I am going to do, observe carefully, guys. Observe carefully here. So now we don't have any files, guys. ls-l means just it is displaying 0. We don't have anything yet here, right? So in my present working directory, pwd means home ec2 user. Inside this ec2 user, currently we don't have any files. 0 files are available. Now in this location, I'm going to create one shell script file and I'm going to execute that file, right? I'm going to create one file and I'm going to put all the commands inside the file and I will execute that file. Understood, guys? Currently we are in this location. Inside this location, I'm going to create one file. I'm going to execute a set of commands through a file, guys. I'm not going to execute the commands manually. I'm going to execute set of commands through a file. By using file, I'm going to execute. See, guys. See here, vi sample script file, sample script.sh. The extension of the shell script files is .sh. The extension, right, the extension of the shell script files is .sh. If any file contains .sh extension, then that is shell script file. The extension of the shell script files is .sh. The extension of the Java files is .java. The extension of the text files is .txt. The extension of the Python files is .py. The extension of the shell scripting files is .sh. Understood, guys? Now here I'm going to open this file vi sample script.sh. Now go to insert mode and here I'm going to type some commands. I'm going to put some commands. Date command, right, cal command, and here who am I command, and here I'm going to give date cal ls-l command, etc. I have given all these 4 commands. Save this command. See, guys, so now observe carefully here what I am doing, right? Observe carefully what I am going to do it here. See, guys, here I have created, now if you do ls-l, see here sample script.sh file is available. Earlier we have total 0, but now inside this we have sample script.sh file. Now I want to execute this file. Before executing this file, you need to check, right, on this file, do you have the execute permission or not? See, guys, sample script.sh. Guys, here who is the user? ec2 user is the user, right? For user we have only read and write permissions. We don't have execute permission. For user, we don't have execute permission. Now what we need to do? We need to give the execute permission for the user. How you will give? chmod u plus execute on this sample script.sh. See, guys, chmod u plus execute, right, on this file. Right, now do ls-l, guys. See, now user got execute permission also, right? If you want execute this script file, right, on this file user should have the execute permission. Here by default user does not have execute permission. User have only read and write permission. Now what we need to do? Explicitly we need to add the execute permissions to this user on this file. How you will provide the execute permission? By using chmod command. Chmod user, for user we are adding, plus is for adding. For user we are adding, x means execute permission. For user we are adding execute permission on this sample script.sh file. Now if you check ls-l, here user got execute permission. Now user got execute permission, right? Whenever you have the execute permission, now you can execute this file. you can execute this file. To execute this script file, what command we need to use? What command we need to do? What command we need to use, guys? Right, if you want to execute this file, right, what command we need to use? See guys, shell script file I'm going to execute. sh space this file name we need to give. Paste. See guys, right, sh space that file name we need to give. See guys, first is the date command, second one is the cal command, third one is the who am I, right? See guys, right, total ls-l means, right, total how many files are available. See guys, all 4 commands are executed or not? All 4 files are executed or not? See guys, here before executing these files, you need to verify on this file user have the execute permission or not. Suppose if a user does not have the execute permission, then you can't able to execute. See, let me remove the execute permission for the user, guys. See here, ls chmod u minus x. So I'm removing, see, execute permission, ls-l. So user does not have the execute permission. Now run this command, execute this file, guys. Execute this file. Now what you will get? 1 minute, guys. ls-l. Okay, now here dot slash see guys, what you are getting? Permission denied. To execute this permission, to execute this file, user does not have the execute permission. Right, that's why before executing this file, you need to verify whether execute permissions are available or not. So now how you will give the execute permission? Like this we need to give the execute permission, u plus x. Now user got the execute permission. Now run this file once. See guys, whenever you have given the execute permission, then you can able to execute this file. You can execute this files, guys. How to shell script file? Create a file and put some commands inside that file. For that, what I am going to give, see here, vi sample script dot sh I am creating. Inside this file, I am going to writing some commands: date command, cal command, right, who am I command, next ls-l. Right, here save and come out. To save and come out, what we need to do? Escape, press escape colon wq. Right, run the file, run the shell script file, What is the command we need to use to run the shell script file? Right, here we can run like this: sh file name, sh space file name. By using this, we can run the shell script file. Right, here before executing script files, we need to verify whether user have the execute permission on that file or not. Right, on that file or not. How you can able to do? How you can able to check? Right, by using ls-l. We can able to check. Right, we write ls-l. Right, suppose if permissions are not there, we need to give the permissions. If execute permission is not there, then we need to provide execute permission by using below command. What is the command? chmod user plus execute on this file. Right, so with this you will get the execute permission, then you can run that file, right guys? Once you have given the permission, run the file. So you have given that permission, once you have provided those permissions, once you have given execute permission, then run the script file, run the shell script file by using below command. What is the command we need to use? $dot slash this file name, right? Understood guys? How to write the shell script file and how to execute the shell script file? Is it clear? How to write the shell script file and how to execute the shell script file? Right, first we need to create one file. Inside the file I am going to put some commands. I am saving that file and I am quitting from the file. Right, we need to run. To execute the shell script file, we am using this command. Here, before executing this file, we need to check whether the user have execute permission on this file or not. If there is no execute permission, you need to provide execute permission by using this command. Right, once you provided the command, run this command to execute the file. Understood guys? Is it clear guys? Right guys, see, observe carefully guys. Here we have created the file guys. Here we have created a file, right? Which file we have created? Right here, ls-l sample script.sh vi sample script.sh. See guys, here I have given some commands. Now tell me, we have so many shells are available in Linux operating system. Bourne shell, bash shell, corn shell, C shell, jet shell, T shell, like this. We have so many shells are available in Linux operating system. So now when we are writing a file, when we are creating a file, inside the file, right, are you specifying to run these commands, to verify this command, to execute these commands? Which shell do you need to use? Are you specifying anywhere to run these commands? Which shell do you need to use? We are not specifying anywhere. Right? If you are not specifying anywhere, by default it will use default shell, which is bash shell. Understood, guys? Here we are not specifying anything, right? Which shell needs to execute these commands. In Linux operating system, we have several shells are available. Several shells are available. But here we are not telling anything to which shell needs to execute these commands. If you are not providing the shell, by default it will use default shell to execute these commands. What is the default shell? Bash is the default shell. But here, if you want, you can specify the shell also. You can specify the shell, right? To specify the shell, here we are going to use shebang, right? We have one concept which is called shebang. In interview, if they ask why we need to use shebang, what is the purpose of shebang, what answer you guys need to give? To specify the shell, right? We are going to use shebang, right? Which shell you want to execute, which shell do you need to use to execute your commands, which shell do you need to use to execute your commands? To specify that, we are going to use shebang. Understood, guys? Understood what is the shebang? What is the shebang? Is it clear? See, guys, shebang. Shebang. What is shebang? So we will use shebang. We will use shebang to specify the shell. To specify which shell should be used to process our commands. To specify which shell should use to process our script, right? So how you will use this, guys? How you will specify? This is the syntax. This is the syntax, guys. How you will specify? This is the syntax. See, guys, this is not mandatory. If you are not providing, by default it will take default shell and it will process, right? If you want to specify any particular shell to execute to process our script, then we need to use shebang. What is the script, guys? This is the script. Hash, right? This not symbol / bin. Here we need to give the shell name /bin /bash, right? See, if you want to use any other shell, here /hash, this is not symbol, here you need to give the corresponding shell command at here. Which shell you want to use to execute to process our script, then we need to use this one. Shebang we will use to specify which shell should use to process our script. Understood, guys? So is this mandatory to specify this, guys? No, guys, this is not mandatory. If you are not specifying this, what it will happen? It will use default shell. What is the default shell? Bash only is the default shell. Bash only is the default shell. See, guys. See, guys, what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this, go to insert mode. Here at first line only we need to write, at the beginning only we need to write hash symbol, right? Not symbol /bin /bash we need to use, right? /bin /bash we need to use. Here explicitly I am telling, array, to process our script, right, you should use this shell only. Explicitly we are specifying to process this script, right, compulsory you should use this shell only. You should use this shell only. Explicitly we are specifying. Suppose if you are not using this, what it will happen? It will use default shell to process this script. It will use default script to process this script. Understood, guys? Is it clear? Right. So now run this one. How you will run it? What is the command we need to use? sh is file name we need to use. See guys, is it executing or not? Executing or not? Executing or not, guys? It is executing. See guys, if you use whatever you are specifying, that shell it will use to process our script. Here I am specifying. Right, if you are not use this one, what it will happen? It will use default one. It will use default one. Fine guys, let me take one more thing. Let me take one more file. See guys, here vi sample1.sh, vi sample1.sh. insert here. If you want to print anything in Linux, right, if you want to print anything in Linux we will use echo we will use to print guys. See here, echo welcome to Linux and shell scripting, right? Echo Linux and shell scripting. Echo welcome to DevOps with AWS class, like this case. So like this I have written. Right, here I am going to specify shabang. Here I am going to specify shabang. How you will specify? $not/bin/bash #not/bin/bash. What is the purpose of this echo? To print the content. If you want to print anything, we will use echo, right? In Linux, to print any message, to print any content, we need to use echo guys. Now run this one. Now sh sample1.sh. see guys, welcome to Linux and shell scripting. Welcome to DevOps with AWS class. See guys, right, we are printing. If you want to print anything, then we need to use echo. in Linux. See guys, now tell me which shell is processed our script. Which shell is processed our script? Right, bash shell. Here we specified explicitly which shell should process our script. Which shell should process our script, and here we specified explicitly, right? This bash shell only processed our script, right? We will use this echo to print the content. If you want to print any content in Linux, then we need to use echo. Understood guys? Example 2. So this is, I'm taking it here, right? In above script file, I have specified shell. We have specified shell which should execute our script, right? So here echo we will use echo to print the content in Linux. Guys, what is the purpose of echo? If you want to print the content, we will use echo in the Linux. See guys, here we are specifying the shell. Which shell should process our script, which shell should execute our script. Right here we are using echo. What echo will do? Echo will print the content. See guys, whenever you execute this script, what it will happen? This shell will read our script. This shell will read our script and it will verify whether the syntaxes are correct or not. If it is correct, it will give the instructions to kernel to process this script. Kernel will use the hardware resources and process the command. If these syntaxes are not correct, then this bash shell only will return the error message. Understood guys? What is the purpose of echo? To print the content, we will use echo. Is it clear guys? Fine. So have a look into this. Now you guys are clear, right? You guys are clear what is the shell, what is the responsibility of the shell, what is kernel, what is the responsibility of the kernel, what is scripting, what is the shell scripting, right? How many types of shells are available in Linux operating system, right? What is the default shell? To print the available shells in the Linux operating system, which command we need to use? To print the default shell in Linux operating system, which command we need to use? And what is the purpose of shebang? How to specify the particular shell in our script file? We will use this shebang. To specify the particular shell in our script file, we will use this shebang, right? This is not mandatory. If you are not specifying the shell, automatically it will take the default shell, which is bash shell, right? How to use the shebang? This is the syntax. Hash not, right? Here we need to give the shell name. Here we need to give the shell. Here we need to give the shell name, right? What is the shell script file? See guys, right, inside the file we need to put set of commands. Inside the file, right, the file which contains a set of commands is called as scripting. The file which contains set of commands is called as scripting, right? See guys, here inside the file we are going to put some commands. This is called as a script file, right? To run the shell script file, this is the command which we need to use. sh space shell script file name we need to give, right? Before executing the shell script file, we need to check whether that user have the execute permission on this file or not. If not available, then you need to provide the execute permission by using this chmod command. Once you have given the execute permission, then you need to run the shell script file once again. Understood guys? How you will specify the particular shell inside the file, right? This is the syntax, right? Like this we need to specify the shell name. Is it clear guys? Is it clear? Fine guys, please go through these things up to here. Whatever we discussed, please go through these things once again, right? So remaining things we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay guys, right here what is the purpose of echo? If you want to print the content, we will use this echo guys. Okay, so in tomorrow's session, how to read the values from the keyboard, how to take the value and assign to a variable, and all those things also we'll see guys, right? Please go through this one. We will continue in tomorrow's session. Thank you guys. Good night.